gentlemen, this is the Church Guys Podcast. I'm Brett, I'm the firefighter.
I'm Quentin, I'm the student.
I'm Craig, I'm the pastor.
I'm DJ, and I'm the IT guy.
And we are the Church Guys. Boy, do we have an episode today. It's going to get good. We're going to be taking a look at the NIL. This is what Texas Longhorns been doing since they've started, trying to buy players off. So we're actually getting into that and how college athletes are actually able to get a little bit more than just an education. I think it's pretty good too. But Heisman talk, we're going to be getting that since we're way past midway now. We can start looking and seeing how that's going through. We'll start talking about a little bit of updates and some picks for both college and the NFL, but we're going to dive into some scripture. We're going to be talking about some good stories today. Talking about some college football, baby. It's still going on. Maybe not in Kyle Field, but it's still going on. Let's have some recaps today. We had some pretty big games. We had Ohio State and Penn State, which I've said Penn State overrated the entire season. They might have some wins, but I'm telling you, they are just so overrated. Ohio State came on top, and it was closer than what it on the score than what it was in the game.
Yeah, for sure it was.
44-31. That was just because Ohio State just lit up, man. They just let them have that at the very end. Because they scored 17 points in the fourth quarter. There's no doubt Ohio State's way better than Penn State. At this point, I might even say A&M's just as good as Penn State.
There's two teams separating themselves from everybody else this year.
In that division? Or are you talking about
college football?
And what are those two teams?
Georgia and Ohio State.
I agree.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We had pretty big games with Kentucky and Tennessee. Tennessee smoked Kentucky, smoked them. And then, man, A&M and Ole Miss, that was a whole lot closer of a game than I really anticipated.
Was that the game that I texted you on? Was like, why don't they run A-chain more than what they do?
That's the one where they missed him in the corner of the end zone.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Hey, Stewart, we're gonna throw it to you, dude.
Yeah.
And then it had pass interference on it. That's right.
Yeah, that was Alabama. That was the Alabama game.
That was Alabama.
I'm sorry. That was Alabama.
Ole Miss was where Weigman had his great debut.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Why hasn't he been playing since the beginning?
And he had like 350 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Ole Miss is where Kiffin called out Jimbo and said, "Hey, you got a Joker costume for me?"
Yes. Michigan's still rolling even over that state. That's a good rivalry, but Michigan just smoked them. You have Coastal Carolina and Marshall on here.
Why is this on?
I had a point to put them on there.
Well, why don't you tell me why this is on here?
We're all
this
going
is Coastal
what?
Carolina. And what is this, baseball?
No.
What and where?
Have you watched Coastal Carolina play?
No, I have a life.
There's a reason why.
No. This is a legit, they're a sleeper team.
They're a sleeper. They're on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, they haven't even woke up yet.
They are 8-1 and are yet to be ranked.
Ocho de Cinco.
Okay, well, guess what? Cincinnati, they got Cincinnati projected in.
Neither does Liberty. Liberty played Arkansas, and that's the only reason they're ranked.
They've got Cincinnati projected into CFP. Why? They tried last year, and they got smoked.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear you.
But they're the only reason, because I've watched like 3 or 4 of their games. And
Coastal Carolina's a baseball school, dude.
They've got a quarterback that's a lot of fun to watch to play.
Well, I mean,
the kid is good.
Yeah, I mean, when you're playing Northern North Dakota, whatever.
I don't know the last.
Hey, they're doing good, and they lost to one of those teams. Okay, so they're doing good. They're 7-1, so they lost to another terrible. I guess it was Inland Carolina, not Coastal Carolina. That's who they lost to.
Mountainous.
All right, TCU still showing that they're the best team in Texas. They rolled up 41 to 31 over West Virginia.
They are until you tell them otherwise.
They are rolling.
They are.
They're gonna do well in the playoffs. They're gonna do good.
You know, a crazy statistic though is they're 4-0 in games that they've trailed, and it's like they've been trailing like 14 points.
They're a second half team.
They're a second half and just they wear you down.
Man, they're looking good. They're looking sharp. All right, week 10, we had A&M going against Florida. Oh, sorry, week 9, Texas didn't lose. So that's good.
No,
all right, week 10.
Yeah, just like them Cowboys.
Exactly.
And we didn't throw an interception.
Was winning 24-20 at halftime to Florida, and then never came back out of the locker room.
That was the game I texted you on.
And it was 41-24, but Florida won that one. And it was just because they got that locked up on
Yep.
A-chain, and they don't have a threat to throw to. I mean, there's nothing you do.
Well, that's like his very first carry of the game. I mean, it was a scamper for
He smoked
65 yards.
It was
And
doing good.
that's when I sent you that text. It was like, why don't they do this more often? And then 2 or 3 quarters later, I saw why, because everybody tees off on him. They were sending pretty much everybody in the box.
Well, that's what Oklahoma
Oh,
State
every time.
did to
Right.
Texas. They just
Yeah.
lower the box and make the quarterback make a throw.
Right. Tennessee and Georgia, that was number 1 Tennessee, number 3 Georgia.
Yeah,
I don't know why they downplayed Georgia and increased Tennessee over them, but
We thought that was going to be close.
that was Georgia showed why, like you said, they're separated from the
Well,
rest.
but here's the thing. I told Quentin this before it started. Georgia has the best DBs in the nation. And Tennessee, all they have is a passing attack.
Yeah.
It's going to be a cream, and
Yep.
that's how it ended up being.
Oh, absolutely. And
But
I
I-
was at Georgia. It's hard to go against Georgia.
Oh, in
at
the
Georgia
hedges? Yeah, you
anyways.
can't win in the hedges.
So they proved why they deserve to still be number 1. They rolled Tennessee 27-13. And
Who's number 2? Oh, Ohio State. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly thought after the last 2 games that Tennessee played that, you know, they were building up a little momentum that
For sure.
they would put up a little bit more of a fight in this game. But dude, that NFL style defense that Georgia has is just
Well, again, like I said,
It's
there's no running
ridiculous.
back. They have no running game.
Yeah.
Look at who they beat and how they beat them. Heupel's a great coach, but he's all pass. He's Oklahoma, all pass.
They played complimentary football. Georgia did though. Stetson
Yeah.
Bennett had a great game too.
yeah, he did. I mean, I'm not downplaying
he's
what he
played-
did.
He's played good all year.
I mean, to
Uh,
think
he's-
this walk-on kid's about to lead them to maybe 2 straight national titles
Yeah.
is just
Plus, with a
insane.
name like Stetson, you got to be a good
and he's
quarterback.
I mean, he's
Love it.
got
Only
just
better place for him to
endurance,
play would
he's
be
got
Texas.
smarts.
Yeah, right.
He's a great quarterback.
He
He really
is.
is. I don't know if he'll make it the next level, but he's a great college football
Absolutely.
player right now.
It'll be all right. It'll be serviceable.
Yeah,
Yeah, he'll be better than what's his face from A&M that graduated last year that
Oh.
can't even make the practice squad.
Vaughn.
I thought you were
So-
talking about the quarterback at Green Bay. I didn't know.
Oh, no, of course. I went to the
Sorry,
nursing
I was
home on the
getting
ambulance
that.
last shift and found a recruit. So LSU, Alabama.
Dirks Bentley, right?
Why? Yeah.
Wait, isn't that a country singer?
LSU and Alabama turned out to be a great game at LSU. LSU comes out on top by 1 after overtime, 32-31, rocking and rolling that place. They had like people coming out with tape and stuff trying to protect all the Alabama guys because all the
bet.
LSU
So
people were
funny.
going through all their stuff. All the equipment,
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
all the LSU fans were going. They were just throwing stuff
That's
and getting
crazy.
stuff. It was. I mean, it's about typical what you would think for it to happen.
I would
But
like to say
in
I
the swamp.
I want to say I
Exactly.
called that LSU beating,
by the
beating
way-
Alabama.
Why is LSU their stadium called Death Valley? It should be the swamp.
I know that
Yeah,
would make
honestly.
sense.
The
Yeah.
Gators, I know the Gators in
Yeah.
the swamp. I get that, but I mean, it's
Yeah.
Louisiana. I mean,
Was
Well-
it a night game?
And Tigers
yeah.
run rampant.
So you called it too. You said if it was at night
said it was a
that
night game.
LSU would
night
take
game at
it.
Death Valley, you got to watch out. It's kind of like a night game at Iowa State, kind of like a night game at Kansas State. You just
Mhm.
never know what's going to happen.
It was a
It's like
fun game to watch.
all the spooks come out, and it's crazy. All the
Oh, yeah.
ghouls and ghosts and everything else is crazy.
Wait, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's crazy to see where they've come from since the first game, because that first game against Florida State they looked bad. And
Yeah,
everyone
they
was
did.
saying, "Oh, they're
They
about
looked
to go
really bad.
New
5-7."
coach.
Brian
Both of
Kelly's
their losses
terrible.
look bad. They really,
And
real
then
bad.
they've come out in the second half of the season and they're swinging haymakers. So.
Yeah, and they're proving why they're a ranked team.
Mhm.
Honestly,
Hey.
they're looking good.
I definitely top 10, definitely top
I would,
6.
Yeah, for
I would
sure.
think so they're coming out rolling, and they're not giving up. They're looking good.
Quarterback's growing up too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, fun fact about that game, Alabama and LSU, both of those quarterbacks for Alabama and LSU played against each other in Pop Warner football, and the guy from LSU always beat him.
That's
That's
awesome.
funny.
Just carried on to
Little-
the next level.
A
I
little more
guess.
salt to rub in that wound.
Man, that's awesome. That's cool. Then we had the Texas K-State, with K-State coming in ranked at number 13, Texas 24. And man, oh man, that turned out to be a game.
Whew.
With Texas on top, 34-27.
Almost
Longhorn
choked
pride.
another second half lead there.
I was-
Oh, I know.
We'll look forward to that in just a second as TCU
Ooh.
opened up. But yeah, typical Texas, which is opposite of what Texas used to be when I was growing up. They used to start off like way slow
Mhm.
and used to wait till the second quarter to actually show up. And now they're showing up early
Yep.
and then going, where are you
They
at?
scored 31 points in the first half and 3 in the second half.
Crazy.
3 points in the
I-
second half.
I'm not gonna lie, I was really skeptical that Texas was actually gonna pull this one out from the start. So
Oh, from the start?
yeah, from the very start.
Oh. Again, I guess that-
Because if you look at it, they had 3 games when they played Texas Tech, Iowa State, and Oklahoma State, where they were in the lead, and then at the very end
crashed and burned.
and then we're having to fight for everything. And I fully believe because Kansas State, that last series of the game, was on the move. Had they not got that strip, Kansas State would have gone down, scored a touchdown, and tied it up and sent it overtime.
I think what saved them was that Adrian Martinez played instead of the other kid.
Yeah.
Well, that was a pretty darn good game.
Yeah, but they
3 points in the second half. That's
that's ridiculous. You've got to be able to close out.
But one
games.
of those missing 7 because of that fumble by Rojo that got knocked out.
That was in the first half.
Oh, was the
but
first half?
second half was Xavier Worthy.
Drop.
No, he had it, but he got hit so hard,
That's
and
what
the
it
ball
was.
came out. The guy put his helmet on the ball.
They gave him a Band-Aid, though, I'm sure.
But they
He
have
got back in the
to
game. He was fine.
they have to figure something out to get some sort of points on the board in the second half because scoring 3 points in the next 2 games, the last 2 games you got, ain't going to cut it, especially against TCU.
I was listening to podcasts, and they said against Oklahoma State, they
What?
gave
You were listening to another podcast, not ours?
a long
How-
podcast.
how
Was
No,
it
dare
Phil-
you.
Coffee with
You
Phil
know.
and Jim?
Maybe. I don't know.
You're a
we'll get to
traitor.
them in a little bit, then when we get our biblical topics
You
going.
fired.
But in the Oklahoma State game, they gave Quinn Ewers too much leash. Like, he threw the ball 49 times, and in this second half, they didn't give him any leash at all.
It was all running.
And they just ran it
Yeah.
and ran it and ran it. And I understand that, give your best player the ball, but when you're having 9 guys in the box and they're making you throw the ball. Like, it's okay to break out a throw every now and then. So
Well, that
Sark's
quarterback's
got
not
to
good, though.
trust Quinn a little more, but don't trust him too much because he's still a freshman, though.
Yeah.
Takes time. He's growing, though.
But-
He's growing. He's learning.
He didn't throw an interception this game.
Hey, they
so we're
came out
moving
on top. They came out on top.
Win's
Can't
a win.
argue with that.
So-
Wins a win.
The
Yeah.
Deacons lost. Wake Forest got beat by NC State
Ah,
30-21.
And Baptists.
Clemson showed up again. Not.
Number 4, Clemson going down to unranked Notre Dame,
The Baptist got-
35-14.
The Baptists got smashed by the Catholics. So
Man,
does somebody know that
yeah.
Clemson's a Baptist school like Baylor? Which you know that.
Used to be.
Yep. And then Liberty. Oh, man.
Man.
Liberty and
Go
Arkansas.
Flames.
If you didn't watch this game, you missed
Yeah.
out.
We
I
didn't.
missed out because I didn't.
We didn't. Sorry.
We were on the way home anyhow.
I even
watched
said
a little bit
Arkansas
of
was
it.
going to win.
We
And,
were
they
we were
didn't.
walking around at Sam's and I had it on my phone like set up on the cart. People
Oh
were
my
looking at me
gosh.
kind of weird, and then one guy was like, "Who's playing?" I told him. He's like, "Oh yeah, I got a grandson that goes there." I was like, "The winning?" Yeah. So he followed me around for like half an aisle.
That's funny.
My wife walks over and she goes, "Who's this guy?" I was like, "We're watching the game." But man, they came out to play.
What was the score at the end of the third quarter? Do you know? 21-5.
21-5.
Oh,
But-
man.
The funny part about it, and I've told y'all this last week, is commentators, the broadcast team, the very first thing that they said coming out the gate, Arkansas, they averaged 240 rushing yards a game. The front five's been playing together for 130 games or however many games. Do you know what their rushing total was for the first quarter?
Probably way more than it was in the third or fourth because they didn't score anything in the second.
Their rushing total for the first quarter, I think it was either -15 or -20. Every time they handed the ball off, Hugh Freeze was sending somebody off the
I love
edge.
it.
He was sending somebody off the edge nonstop, and they just couldn't get anything going until I think it was like the fourth quarter when they finally were like, hey, okay, maybe we should actually start playing a little bit.
Liberty looked a lot like Texas, though. Didn't score anything in the second half.
Crazy.
Yeah,
They better
But-
fix that. If they want to be a ranked team, they got to fix that.
but you got Hugh
Rank
Freeze,
'em.
who's former SEC coach, so
think he
I mean,
should. that's fine.
he knew what was coming, so he
And
knew how to
maybe
prepare
going
for it.
back.
I don't think he is.
Oh,
I
hope
don't
so.
know.
I don't think he is. According to the press
I don't know.
conference
I
he
don't-
gave.
I don't know if I would want to go to Auburn. though.
Money
I don't
talks,
know.
bro. Money talks.
Now they're looking at Lane Kiffin for Auburn.
They ain't having it.
Oh, that
So
wouldn't
Hugh
happen.
Freeze
That's a
returns.
downgrade.
Hugh
I'm not.
Freeze returns to
no.
Ole Miss.
Absolutely.
Oh, I would love that though.
I don't want him to leave.
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean, he's got a pretty swanky deal.
Yeah, he does.
Hugh Freeze is pretty hot.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
You know, his
All
contract,
right.
in his contract, it stipulates if they make a bowl game, he automatically gets a $10 million bonus.
Yeah, but he'll probably get a $10 million sign-on if he goes to the SEC team.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
So I don't think the money could.
He's going to Auburn.
It would be where he's at. So.
Yeah.
He's going to Auburn.
All right, week 11. Week 11.
Starting with your boys.
Aren't they playing UMass?
Week 11? No, they're playing Auburn. UMass is the last game.
No, that's not.
no.
I think it's
Is it?
UMass, Auburn, LSU. Did I have that backwards in my head?
It's Auburn,
Yeah.
UMass, LSU.
You got it
Oh,
backwards
okay,
in
I
your
got it
head.
backwards.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Don't make me
It's
start
all-
second guessing
What
stuff.
an Aggie. All right. A&M's going to win.
Yeah, if A&M
It's at Auburn. They're on a 6-game losing streak. They have
if there's
Who is?
if there's ever a game
A&M.
Oh.
6
to
games?
win,
I think
Yeah.
so.
Wow.
Both Auburn and A&M, they're on that same skid.
That's what I thought. It's like
And
It's going to be the battle of the losers.
We still have. I know that we have some players getting healthy, like Weigman's coming back from the flu and stuff. But which, by the way,
that's a questionable.
Flu is coming back, so be careful.
questionable.
Wash your hands, and if you have to spray any boogers, do it in a Kleenex.
I've heard that he had an injury.
I didn't hear that.
That's
All
what
I
I
heard.
heard.
It was a flu. Him and
Weigman's
like
hurt?
8 other guys got the flu, and they couldn't start. But we're still like
It's called
20 down with injuries, including
Losing-itis, isn't it?
No, because Texas is playing too.
No, it's losing-itis. I've heard that they're
No,
jumping.
Texas did this last year.
Yeah, we've been there.
But
That was-
yeah,
we ain't there right
A&M's
now.
going to beat Auburn.
I'm going to Auburn on this one,
Gosh, I don't
honestly.
know.
Because guess what? Cadillac Williams is back at coach, and
I don't
they
know.
almost beat Mississippi State at Mississippi State last week.
Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
And Mississippi State beat A&M, so that's the logic I'm going off of. Either team could win, honestly. It doesn't matter. I mean,
But they both could lose. Is it going to overtime? That's my question.
Both could lose.
what's the score? 10-14?
Would they let that game end in a tie if it hit too many overtimes?
6-5.
If Wegman plays,
6-5, like a baseball score.
if Wegman plays, I think
That'd be
A&M
funny.
wins.
What'd you win 3-2?
A&M
A field goal to
gets 2
safety.
field goals. And, yeah, it's 6-5. A&M.
If Wegman plays, I say A&M.
Or it could be 2-0. It could be still a shutout, couldn't he?
Well, everything I said, it shows that he's a starter.
Yeah.
I mean, everything I follow.
He should have been starting from the get-go.
So I don't know why he wouldn't.
I think I'm going to take A&M on this one. This is
It's at Auburn, but I'm still going with
This is
A&M.
do or die for the recruiting
Yeah.
efforts.
Auburn gets a 3-point home field advantage, so I'm going Auburn.
All right, and then after that, we're
Well,
going
what
to.
are you going? What are you going?
He said.
I said if
he
Wegman
said Auburn.
plays,
You said,
A&M.
he's
but
throwing stipulations out there.
I don't know.
Okay. So I'm the only one going Auburn. Okay, cool. That's cool.
I like the diversity.
Fine. It's good to be wrong sometimes, so you can learn. All right, so we got. I learned a lot. TCU going in Texas.
At night.
Going to be no contest.
Oakham
This is going to be
Horns.
like Georgia and Tennessee. TCU's going to come in and smokehouse.
Texas is putting 50 on TCU.
I think you got that reversed, pal.
Quinn Ewers is going to throw 300 yards.
No,
Bijan
he's gonna
Robinson's
throw
going
his
to
arm
rush
out.
all over. And you know Las Vegas has Texas as a 7-point favorite. So they know something.
They're always right.
They know
so
something.
I think, yeah, you're onto something.
They know something, sir.
We're not going to lose money. We know that. Vegas
Outside
is
of-
not going to lose money.
They've been wrong so many times that they bet on themselves or against themselves to make more money. That's such a corrupt system.
Outside of the Bama game, this is going to be probably the second toughest team for Texas to play.
But we know
Um,
with Texas, man, they played big in big games.
No, they don't.
Who is TCU beating?
Who is TCU beating? They've beaten everybody.
But who?
Yeah, they haven't lost. They're undefeated. So that
Name
would
the
be
teams.
every team
There's
they've played.
nobody.
I don't see Texas beating TCU this week. They have, I mean, just watching TCU play, Texas has affinity for not getting any offensive production in the second half, and TCU coming on in the second half. I mean, you score 3 points on TCU in 2 quarters, you're going to be done. TCU's going to run all over you.
And how has TCU done it? They've hurt every quarterback.
There's that. But
Well, if we come out strong in the first half and they don't come out strong in the first half, you may see the same thing as you did in the Kansas State
It's a
game,
slugfest.
where we just hang on in the second half. So
the other thing is you got to look at. I mean, it's going to be a fun game to watch because TCU has a running back that's already hit 1,000 yards, and they have a quarterback who is pretty efficient with how he throws. He's almost hit 3,000 yards, and he's only thrown two interceptions the entire season.
But he's never played a defense like ours
I don't know.
because
about
our
that.
pass rush is
So,
first in the nation.
They
our pass
played
rush.
Oklahoma when they were ranked. They played Kansas.
Well, wait.
Oklahoma's not a
Oklahoma
real-
ranked was preseason love fest because of it says Oklahoma.
Same with Texas. But
Same with
they were
A&M.
ranked.
Same with A&M.
It was
ranked 6,
exactly
you know.
yeah. So Oklahoma was 18th. Kansas, they played them when they were number 19. Kansas is a good team.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State, a great team.
No, they're
K
not.
State, a great team. West Virginia, they're not a bad team. And then Texas Tech, who rolled up Texas. They smoked them.
What was the score
So
of that
are we
game?
going off a logic of who beat the last one? So TCU smoked Texas Tech, so TCU's going to smoke Texas.
I can't wait to pull some of these sound bites for our next podcast. Well, no one gave Texas a chance against Kansas State, and we saw how that turned
Or
out.
Alabama.
I don't think Kansas State came out like they should, man. Like
But
they
TCU
honor-
could not come out.
they-
though.
well, I know, but Kansas State kind of came out flat, especially at home. It seemed like they had no home field advantage.
It was
the entire
7-7 early on. They scored right after we scored, but then our defense, again, we have a good pass rush, and we put pressure on the quarterback. We got to make him play quarterback.
Most
It
pressures in
shows.
NCAA.
We have the most pressures on the quarterback in the NCAA. I mean, that's a
I know
true
that
fact there.
I know the Longhorns quarterback is under a lot of pressure too because he's so terrible.
He'll be fine.
I don't know. I've watched TCU play all year long, knowing that eventually they were going to meet up with Texas.
Oh, this is the toughest game for sure.
Oh, yeah, that's what I said. Outside of Alabama, this is going to be a tough contest. But again,
Good thing is it's at home.
Mm-hmm. At night. TCU hasn't played in front of 100,000.
Don't think that all them people take it and all day are not going to
they
be
do
loud.
it all the time.
No, they
man.
haven't.
They're gonna
TCU
do it.
TCU is
stat.
a tried and true team.
The
This
largest-
isn't like this is like a FBS team. Y'all, this is a tried and true Big 12 team, and y'all are acting like this is like who is it? Austin P coming up?
Oh, no.
What are you talking about?
Well,
this is a
this is
massive
what I'm
game,
saying.
just as much for TCU as it is as Texas.
Sure it is.
And TCU's proving
Texas gets
and
everybody
say,
to Super
I
Bowl.
am the best team in Texas.
Texas-
This is a
See,
huge game for them. They're going to come in
This
smoking.
is my point on it. TCU has a lot more to gain from winning this game than Texas does because as of right now, they're in a bid to be in the playoffs.
100%.
But they have a lot more to lose.
But if Texas wins,
That's what I'm saying.
If Texas wins
To
and
gain
finishes
and
out,
lose.
they got them projected in the Sugar Bowl.
I don't think Texas is going to win out, to be honest with
Who are
you.
they playing?
You got TCU to get through first,
Yeah,
Kansas,
And Baylor.
and Baylor.
they got Kansas at Kansas. Kansas is not as good as
I-
Kansas
I-
State.
I know Kansas is not good as Kansas State, but you can't necessarily pencil a win off
And
of that.
Baylor can be whatever. It depends on what team shows up at Baylor.
But I'm just saying, in
Where they're
that
gonna play
aspect, though, TCU's already what, number 6, 7,
4.
4.
4?
Number 4 in
Oh, yeah,
the
they moved
nation.
up since this was going on. So, I mean, they're number 4 right now.
Yeah.
They want to hold that spot and get a shot at the
They have to
national
win
title.
out. They have to win out.
And that's what I'm saying. They have a lot more to lose. So I think they're going to come out and just
But guess what?
be on it.
And they have a lot to prove. Because,
Exactly. Because they've always been that third redheaded stepchild behind Texas and A&M.
Right. And everybody
why he's
puts
the quarterback.
Longhorns above everybody, no matter what the rank is, no matter what. That's why Texas has crept back into the top 25 again with 3 losses, and then there's other teams behind them that look so much better.
Yeah.
Like who?
On their wins and losses and everything. So I mean, well, like who? Why is Tulane in there?
Why is Tulane where?
Why is Coastal Carolina not if Tulane is?
That's what I'm saying. So
Tulane,
people
Tulane
are
beat,
ranking.
Tulane beat Kansas State. You know that.
Yeah.
Okay,
So they're in there.
It's Tulane.
But they've only beat one school like that. That was Kansas
That's
State.
what I'm saying.
But then you're saying we should put Liberty in there, even though they just only beat one team.
I'm not saying Liberty should be in there either because they only beat Arkansas.
You said rank Liberty though.
Well, yeah, that's just your pride. That's just what you want.
That's only because
that's
I'm
just
a-
your cheering. You know
I'm
what I
an
mean?
alumni, so
Yeah,
that's what I feel.
that's
They
just-
should rank
there's
Liberty.
nothing wrong
Notre
with
Dame
that.
is right after Texas with 3
So-
losses.
Yeah, they don't need to be ranked either. I mean, look at they had a big win against Clemson, but who else? I mean,
I feel like they should stop ranking the top 25 off of merit and actually look at the teams as whole because you
got to have merit in there.
well, I guess merit's the wrong word, but
That's what it's off of. That's the whole
favoritism. So to
Oh,
speak.
well,
Because
of course.
you got a bunch of sports writers in there going, oh
Right.
well, my friend's grandson goes to that school,
Well, in
so I'm
that
going to throw
case-
them.
So you
in
think
that case, we'll get the Heisman in second.
oh
Throw
yeah,
out the
that's
Heisman.
So
yeah,
you-
the Heisman's even worse.
just in terms of rankings, real fast. Kansas State is ranked behind Texas, which should because
Yeah,
Texas
Texas
just beat
'em.
Kansas State.
Texas just beat them.
Illinois is behind Texas. There's no way Illinois is beating Texas. I mean, that's a Big Ten. There's only 2 good teams.
Well,
in
you
the
don't
Big
know
Ten.
what team's going to show up.
Yeah,
So-
People said the same thing about
U-
Texas
U-
Tech.
UCF is not better than Texas.
Probably could be.
Florida State.
If you only score 3
Florida State
points
has
in
3
in
losses,
half.
not better than Texas.
Probably
Kentucky,
could be.
3 losses.
See,
not
all you're
better.
saying is
So-
subjective. You don't
But
know.
yours is too.
But what I'm
Yours
saying,
is
well,
as well.
everything is. But what I'm saying is,
so it doesn't make it
Texas.
right or wrong.
No, this is what makes sense. The only reason they are ranked is because they have more people bought off to put their bid
That's
in
not
the top
correct.
25. That's what it's. That's how you get
How
your
did
top
A&M get
25.
ranked 6?
Preseason?
Mhm.
Are you talking about preseason?
Yes, they're
because they were
ranked
going
number
off of
6.
last year.
No, they weren't.
Yes, and returners. What do you
They
think
had-
that they do?
they had
They
5
just say,
losses
"Eeny,
last
meeny,
year."
miny, mo."
A&M had 5 losses last year.
Last year they had 5 losses.
They did.
They had 5 losses for
Yes,
real.
sir.
I didn't realize that. I thought it was only 4. I thought
They
they.
had 5 losses.
It's that
thought it was
A&M
4.
math.
So,
But either way, they made it to a ball game. They had some pretty big wins throughout the season. They had a lot of good returners, and they said they went off of what they had. That's I don't understand what your question is. What I'm saying is, whenever you, okay, let's go back.
That makes sense.
Here you go. Let's go back to this.
So when a team loses 5, 5
No,
times.
let me ask you a
They gotta be
question.
ranked in the top
So
10.
if they lose, let's say Kansas, they are not ranked right now, right?
Mhm.
So they play against how many losses Kansas have? Do we know?
Three.
Three?
or
Okay.
4.
3 or 4.
All right. So they play number 1 Georgia and beat them. What should they be? 2?
No.
Okay, should they be ranked?
Are you talking about with their current standing? If they have 3
should
losses,
drop-
Say they have 4 losses.
4 losses. And
Let's
No.
say they have
Georgia,
4 losses.
They
They won't
should be
even-
ranked, like maybe
they won't know.
18.
They don't break
So
the top
why
25.
did Texas get ranked when they lost against the number 1 team? Because the same reason that I'm saying they get their votes bought off from guys that put them in. It's just, it's with everything.
Well, first of all, that was the second game of the season, so we were 1-0. It's different if you have 3 losses. First of all, it's completely different.
No,
It is. Yes,
No,
sir, it
because you
is.
had other teams that didn't lose and they were put ahead of them. So it makes no sense. So that's what I'm getting at. There is a bias in the ranking system.
But also, no
There
one
always
plays-
will be, though.
100% bias.
Does
in
anybody
there.
play Alabama the second game of the season? Those
Is
teams?
there bias
Or are
in the
they
ranking
playing-
system?
There's always bias.
Okay,
just like A&M
that's all
is
I'm
biased.
saying. That's
Just
all
like
I'm
A&M
saying.
is biased.
I'm saying that there's bias in this ranking, and Texas is overrun since they bought out the ESPN channel for Longhorn Network, and they control a lot
You're
of money.
still bitter about that.
No, it's
He's bitter that
it's
Texas
tough
is coming back
because
to rule SEC.
it's kind of like whenever you try to share something,
Yeah.
and people do not see it. They will not see it because of their own bias.
Yeah,
and
for
if
sure.
if it was like that's what it's frustrating because I know that we joke around, we talk, and I love that. It makes for good listening to. But at the same time, you have to see that there is bias and admit there is bias because Texas has tried to run the whole state. That's why you see Longhorn shirts in every Walmart in Texas, right?
biggest
But you
brand
don't
in college
see it.
football.
You won't see A&M shirts in Lubbock. You won't see A&M shirts in Austin.
Well, why not?
But because Texas owns the
No,
market.
because they won't sell.
Yes, they will. Are you
No.
kidding?
They're
They
not
sell
gonna
everywhere.
They're not going to
That-
sell in Lubbock.
That okay. All right. So what I'm saying is
A&M logic.
it's fine. So what I'm saying is Texas has owned the market for a while, and they keep pushing and pushing and pushing this narrative, and then people just resist the truth. They can't see truth for statistics in front of their face. So that's all I'm saying. There's a bias in these rankings, and that's why I'm like, you can't just say,
There's always
oh,
gonna be a
well,
bias,
they haven't
though.
played anybody.
Yeah,
Well, we
everything
don't
has
know.
bias.
Business
'Cause-
people are going to sell what sells. They're not going to not sell what sells.
Oh, sure. You don't think there's A&M people in Lubbock? There's tons of A&M people
They're
in
not
Lubbock.
gonna
There's
sell
tons
it.
of A&M
But
people.
you're
There's
gonna
college
have-
station
So
people
you got to buy
everywhere.
40 and put them at Walmart, and you're going to put them on clearance in 7 weeks because nobody's going to buy them.
No, back whenever, especially like you think about Johnny Manziel.
Oh my gosh,
his
that was a hot
jersey
sell.
sold everywhere. So I don't understand. Just like whenever
Why?
Cedric Benson
Why?
was a huge hit, his jersey sold everywhere. It's not because it's a business sense move. It's because they overtake the market and they flood it. But either way,
What is business?
I'm going
though?
to say
They're not going to
Kansas is going to come out and beat Texas this next week, and I'm going to love it. I am going to love it. Lone Star pride has gone out the window because of the
Thank
bias
goodness.
hypocrisy
Thank
in this
goodness.
room.
I will never chant SEC.
Only bias hypocrisy is wearing maroon, man.
Absolutely not.
Yes.
I know I can say that my team's bad when they're bad.
I can say my team's bad when they're bad.
Last year
And
was
I'm not going to
terrible.
say they deserve the playoff or they deserve no. I can see what's happening and I can admit it. That's a big difference. That's a big difference.
Y'all have never admitted that Jimbo is not a good coach. Jimbo is not a good coach.
I think he's a good coach. I do. I think
there it
he's a
is,
good
right
coach.
there, ladies and gentlemen. Jimbo is.
I
a
do think he's.
terrible coach.
Tell me why he's not a good coach? Because he's had 28 injuries. He had
Because he's never
8
developed
people go out
anybody.
sick and last week.
So he has a worse record than Kevin Sumlin right now.
He's playing a young team too. I don't.
And he is
Did
in his
Kevin
5th
Sumlin
year. I thought
you
ever
just
have
said they were
28
ranked 6
people
because
out
they
during
brought
the
him back.
season?
You just said they were ranked 6 because they had a great team coming back.
Yeah, and they've had season injuries. They've had all
It's
kinds
always
of stuff.
Are they young or
excuses.
not?
What are you talking about?
You just said they had a great team. They were number 6 because they had a great team coming back.
No,
But then
coming
while
in.
ago-
Yeah.
You just said because now they're coming back. What are they
It's an
doing?
expectation
are
factor.
they going to come back? And so the issue is
So
this.
if Alabama wins it, what are they going to be ranked? If they win a national championship, are they not going to be ranked in top
They're not.
25?
They're not going to win a national championship.
You're not hearing my question. If
Makes
Alabama
sense, 'cause they're not
was
gonna
to
be-
win a championship,
Sure.
are they going to come back the next year not ranked at all?
No, they'll come back ranked number 1.
Thank you. Not even number. Even if it was a top
So then
4,
why is A&M
it's based
ranked?
off of the last year.
Yeah.
So then A&M.
Am I taking crazy pills?
Yes, you
What
are.
is even happening
Because
here?
A&M went like 8-5, yet they're ranked number 6. That doesn't
Y'all are
make
a bunch
sense
of
whatsoever.
Fettermans. What is happening?
Because what were they ranked before? Where were they ranked the year before? And they come back.
They came back. They finished the season. I thought they were in the top 25 last year when they see it. I didn't think that they had 5 losses. I thought they had 4 losses, and they were ranked in the top 25. So that's why they were ranked in top 25. They finished great, won their bowl game, came back, and then they had even better
Which bowl game?
recruiting
What bowl
class.
game? The Cheez-It Bowl?
Either way, it was better than the
That's what I'm
Texas's
saying.
toilet bowl.
No, they were bad last year.
But-
There's no question about that. Nobody ever said they weren't.
Yeah, we were terrible.
Yeah,
You'll
but-
never not hear me saying that.
Yeah, with reasonings, but that's okay. And then we come back. They gave us a head. I told y'all from the very beginning, I don't think we're number 6 team. I was excited about it. I told you from the start we were over ranked
Yep.
from the very beginning. But
Jimbo does more with less even than Texas always does.
So, but let's just talk about this weekend for A&M because I'll
Definitely.
at least have a victory. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
playing UMass.
Well, I mean, yeah. I think
Kyle Field. Hopefully, Weigman he'll come back out and not get hurt.
I think you'll have 2 victories in a row with Auburn.
Oh, I hope with Auburn. I really hope.
Before that, though, there's Alabama and Ole Miss. And that's going to be a barn
Man,
burner.
do you know Alabama's actually ranked? They're underdogs in that game. Yeah, they're like a 10 to 12 point underdog.
Yeah, because
Because
it's at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
What time is that? 2:30?
Yeah, I think so. 2:30.
Yeah, 2:30.
I think Alabama takes that one.
I don't know. I think Ole Miss has got a shot at them.
It's not going to be 12 points.
Yeah, I mean it's not gonna be. Yeah, I mean we all know
if
how
Ole Miss
those.
wins, it's going to be like 7 or 3.
Yeah. We all know how those numbers come out. I mean
Or
they
5.
they base it off of statistics and stuff like that, and sometimes it doesn't come out in the wash. But yeah, I feel like it's gonna be a good game. But I feel like Ole Miss is gonna come out on top.
Well, didn't Ole Miss get drilled by LSU?
That's the
But
exact.
That was at LSU.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
So home field advantage plays a
Yeah,
big
I mean,
part.
back 12. 12?
It's hard.
It's
to go
kind of hard to
against
go off
Alabama.
and root against Saban too. I don't know. Right after he has a big loss,
He's
like,
7 and 2.
Yeah.
He ain't going to be 7 and 3.
I know.
Has he
that's what
ever
I'm
been
saying.
7 and 3?
I would be hard pressed to go against him.
Yeah.
I would think that he'd probably be doing 2 days, if not 3 days, trying to get ready for the rest of
He's
this
gonna be red as
season.
his
Yeah,
shirt.
that's the big thing is Alabama's coming off that loss to LSU.
Yeah.
So
Jeez.
I mean, like I said, it's gonna be a good game.
I'm
But
going to bow out on picking this one. I don't know.
I'll go with Alabama
Yeah, I'm going
like that.
Alabama.
You know what I mean? Like Alabama. I am Ron Burgundy. Like, you know what I mean? Like I just don't know, but
I just want Alabama to continue losing, so I'm gonna go with Ole Miss. I'm loving the Alabama just like spiraling down the rankings.
I think
It's
Alabama
great.
by 14, honestly. I think Bryce Young's going to come out
Think
for
so?
revenge after losing to LSU. Are they going to lose it?
The
I've
only-
never seen Alabama lose 2 in a row, though.
But the only
First
problem
time for everything.
Who has he
So-
got to throw to besides the running backs?
Yeah.
That is true.
That's the problem.
No weapons like last year, so
And if they do the same thing that Texas did and you lock
And-
down those receivers,
that's true.
he ain't got
And their
nowhere to
offensive
go.
coordinator's
That's true.
Bill O'Brien.
Yep.
Gosh,
That's huge.
I don't know why Saban hired him.
He's
honestly.
terrible.
I believe that guy's
you
going
got
to be
me. I don't know.
that guy's going to be in the unemployment line at the end of the year.
I mean, well,
Imagine.
he got let go of Houston because he's terrible.
But then you got TCU.
Here's a
and
great game
Baylor,
coming up
too.
in week 12. Alabama and Austin P.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they'll recover.
Gosh.
You got
Man.
TCU and Baylor. They're going to come off. TCU's going to come out
Hold on a
hot
second.
after beating Texas.
If they do lose, if Alabama does lose to Ole Miss, you don't want to be Austin P.
Oh no.
That's
Oh.
true.
There's not enough
That's
money
true.
in
No
the world.
question.
There's not enough money in the world to want to play
No
them.
question.
If they do lose to Ole Miss and Austin P shows up, I'll be like, I'm not getting off this bus because I want to go home. I don't want to die.
I don't care what the $1 million payday is they get.
No, because Saban's gonna be.
God.
Oh my gosh, he's gonna
I
be
hope they have
hostile.
enough at the end of the game to play the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's gonna be terrible.
It's gonna be like the end of that Friday Night Lights where the
Alabama-
coach is asking asking the player how it is. They fast, coach.
Yeah.
They big, coach. They fast. You said they're fast already.
Yeah.
A&M and UMass. That's they hopefully they'll get one there, huh?
ESPN Plus.
Yep.
Yeah.
If they don't, what happens?
The same thing the rest of the season. I'm telling you, we are so down, plagued with
yeah.
injuries, and
I don't think I've ever seen that many injuries on a college
we
team.
have
That
it's
is a lot of
20 plus.
injuries.
It's going on for weeks.
That's
it's
going on since last year because y'all didn't play in the bowl game last year. Remember, y'all were supposed to play Wake Forest, and they said we can't because we don't have
is that what
players.
happened? They
Yeah.
didn't play?
That's
I remember
That's
that.
what it
yeah.
So it
yeah,
was
yeah,
eight,
yeah.
it was 8-4.
Yeah.
It was 8-4. 4
Oh
losses.
man, it was almost like I'm right
It
again.
wasn't gonna be, it was
No, no,
it was gonna be 5 losses.
It's called a
My
forfeit.
word.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it
Forfeit.
wasn't.
Yeah.
My God. Here we go.
Wake Forest
Yeah, come
declared it
on,
as a win.
Longhorn. Yeah, let me have it.
play.
I'm not biased.
We can't play.
Okay.
Why
don't
didn't
have
they
enough.
play?
They wanted to play. Wake Forest didn't.
No, A&M didn't want to play.
No, that's not true.
That is true.
That is not true.
Jimbo, yes.
No,
Oh my god.
It's not true. It's not true. They wanted to play. They just said that they
No, they
couldn't.
didn't.
The players wanted to play.
It said they
Jimbo
couldn't.
didn't want to play.
No, the players wanted to play.
The players wanted to play because they never played, but Jimbo wouldn't let them play because they said we're going to lose this game.
I'll have to
Yeah.
fact check you on. I don't
That
believe
is
you.
correct, sir.
You throw so much stuff out there. I don't believe. Now it was 3/4. I'm at least 82%
funny.
is false.
That is hilarious.
I would.
A&M never backs down. Well, they did
No,
that
they
game.
don't. And
'cause they
we
didn't
never
play.
lose either. We just happen to run
Liberty
out
of
of time.
Virginia Tech ought to be a pretty good game.
That's the last
I love it.
3 or 4 years I've been watching Liberty. That's always a good game.
Because it's a battle for Virginia.
Yeah,
that's
pretty much.
It's
Virginia.
at, it's at Lynchburg.
Yeah, the last time that Liberty won, it was on a field goal, and they called it the kick heard around the world because it was like a 52-yard field goal.
Virginia Tech's going to win.
No, they're not.
Boo.
Well, in that case, UMass is going to win.
Probably. They probably will.
How about,
I'm not doubting it.
Oregon and Utah, though. That
That's-
may decide the Pac-12.
Yeah,
right there.
that's why that's on the notable games because that's going to be a Pac-12 battle.
And you know, you picked Oregon coming out hot and heavy,
Hey,
right?
credit to
and
DJ.
they got smoked the
Yeah.
very first game. They did, and I totally didn't give them any credit.
Yeah.
My, have they fought back? So DJ,
Way to
I
go,
give
Way
you,
to
I
go,
give you some
DJ.
credit.
can
Hey, hit a noisemaker for you. Like
Oh.
I'm your Huckleberry. There we go.
Love
That
it.
works.
All right.
Texas at Kansas or yeah, are they at Kansas that week?
It's at
Yeah.
Kansas.
At Kansas.
Hook 'em.
I think Texas is at least going to win that one if they
Kansas by 3.
TCU and Baylor. TCU's going to
That'd be a good game. 'cause
TCU's going to keep on rolling.
Baylor's a defensive team,
Yeah, they are.
Dave
and it's at
Aranda.
home.
I think TCU's going to keep on trucking along and truck
We'll
right
see.
over
So-
Baylor. So we got the
about
updated
Baylor?
conference rankings for the Big 12. TCU's 1, Texas is 2nd.
Tied for a second.
Yeah, they're tied for 2nd. That's true.
Still
But-
second, though.
With Baylor and K-State.
It all work itself out.
But if they
They've
lose
already
to
beat
TCU,
K-State.
they're going to fall.
They're above
Texas
K-State 'cause they
controls
beat 'em.
their destiny, so at least that's
Kind of like every other team.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they don't show up for all 4
A&M.
games, that destiny ain't going far.
They do control their own destiny, unlike other teams.
And then you got the SEC East and West.
Kentucky came out, and man, they're overranked too. But like,
I was high on
They're-
Kentucky when the season first started because that quarterback they have, David Levis or whatever his name is,
Yeah, Will
Is-
Levis.
Will Levis.
Will Levis.
I don't know where I got David from, but it just sounded good. He had a heck of a season coming out, and he's kind of struggled as of late. So I don't.
It's
I don't pay
Kentucky,
attention. I don't
though.
know what's going on with them that much, but I know that they've failed considerably. And
And you got A&M at the bottom of the SEC
they're
West.
tied, and we're gonna find out with Auburn.
I wanna
Battle of the
see-
bottom.
Battle of the
I want to
bottom.
see Vanderbilt and A&M go at it.
That would be a fun game. Let's look. Can we have a trash can bowl?
Have that. What's that waste disposal company? The green one.
Waste management.
Waste
Yeah,
management.
waste management bowl with Vanderbilt
They've
and
got one
A&M.
of those, don't they?
Do they really?
I think so.
Ugh, how'd you like to play in that ball?
I would love to. I would love.
they
I
had
ain't
the-
even lying.
Poulan and Weed Eater Bowl. I'm going to Poulan. That's a Walmart brand of Weed Eater Bowl. At least you still
I
the
hope
steel-
the trophy is like a dumpster.
Husqvarna.
That's
They do
funny.
Husqvarna, not Poulan. Who does?
Love it.
So the updated rankings we got going into week 11. Georgia's number 1. Ohio State's 2. Michigan's 3. TCU is 4. Tennessee has
Only
fallen
one
to
I see on
5.
there I'm kind of just going, what about is the Penn State again? Why are they
Yeah,
still
Penn
in
State
there?
14.
Yeah, I don't agree with Penn State being 14 either.
Yeah,
I
Liberty
just
at 19.
And
Wow.
yeah,
SC
Liberty's after that Arkansas win, Liberty's
SC
climbed.
and UCLA are going to work themselves out, but I still think they're kind of
But I will say this is the
Edgy,
AP poll.
Yeah,
This isn't the college football playoff poll. Which
No,
is
this
a
is the
little
AP
different.
poll.
That's right.
because the college poll they don't even have Liberty ranked in there.
really.
Yeah,
Biased. It is biased though.
Well, yeah, it's a small school.
Everything is biased.
It's
though.
they don't have the votes.
yeah.
but that's
They don't have-
that's
Texas has got so much
we're on this
coverage.
again.
I'm sorry, it's true.
if you look at the
Texas has
voting
so
numbers.
much more coverage.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
Like-
you're not lying about the cover, like television coverage.
Well,
or
why were
anything.
you yelling at me a while ago? Why was Craig shaking his head like I was missing church for
Because
the
you
third time in a
understand-
row?
You understand that
Like
Texas
what
is,
in the
Texas is
World.
literally the biggest.
What in the
brand in
waste
college
management
football.
bowl are we talking about?
So, and that's why I threw that Coastal Carolina game on there just to kind of trip everybody up because they're like Tulane. Tulane's 8-1. They beat Kansas State. That's the only reason they're ranked. The only team they played that they beat that was any notoriety was Kansas State.
Well, I haven't seen the scores of there. Maybe they've been dominating the other teams. Coastal Carolina, I saw a couple games where it was like nail biters in their conference, where Tulane's been blowing everybody out.
Texas has names that were nail biters.
But they play legit Power 5 teams, don't they?
I think that's what I heard earlier about TCU. Who have they played?
Compared to non-Power 5 schools, so that's where.
So, but we are in agreement that
it's all about context.
we are in agreement that Penn State shouldn't be that high, at least.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All that
Tulane has
matters-
been very close.
It'll work itself
All that
out.
matters is the top 4 teams anyhow playoffs.
That is true.
So
Yeah.
who cares about the
Fix
rest?
to be 12. Amen.
So
Is that next year?
Yeah.
It's 20, I thought it was 24.
Maybe
Was it 24?
Maybe so.
maybe
24.
24,
I don't know.
23.
I don't remember.
I don't even know.
I don't know. I like the expansion though. It's good.
You can't argue if you're 12, right? I mean, really?
If you can't
If
get
you're
in
outside
the
of
12
12,
playoff,
Yeah, just shut up.
you don't deserve to be.
Yeah.
Tulane really has been pretty close.
Really?
Yeah. Like they've had I don't know how many 3-point games with against Houston and
Houston's legit though.
Southern Miss.
What was the score of the Houston game? 77-75?
27-24.
That's solid then because they held them under 50
Yeah, it
points.
is.
Yeah.
But I don't think Houston's that great.
No, they scored like 70
They're
against SMU last week.
Yeah.
It was
Houston's
like
not what they used to be.
77-78.
We're going to move into something that affects college players throughout the country is the new NIL rule, which is NCAA name, image, likeness. Basically, college students can make money while they play. And this came from just a little background story for those that don't know. 2000, when former UCLA basketball player Ed O'Bannon, 19 others sued NCAA, arguing the organization violated the United States antitrust laws by not allowing athletes to make a share of the profits and revenues generated from the use of their likeness in broadcast and video games. Those of us that are old enough to remember back in the day when they had an NCAA college football game is basically when everybody started latching onto that. It started off with the NCAA basketball, and then it went into football. And then basically later on, a judge ordered the NCAA to pay $44.4 million in attorney's fees and another $1.5 million to each individual player that's in the lawsuit. June 30th, 2021, Division I NCAA basically put that policy into place that allows them to be compensated for whatever they're compensated for.
I'm okay with him having compensation. I think it should have a contingency upon graduation. And once you graduate, you get the money. If you want to leave and go to, like if it's college football, if you want to leave and go to the NFL, that's fine. But you forfeit the money that you would have had gone back into the system, and maybe that could go towards scholarships or whatever. That's
Right.
what I think that should be.
And that's the problem with there's not a lot of stipulations and rules that can apply because, I mean, if you look at it, there's players that are just making obscene amounts of money. You got Bryce Young, who is he's one of the top earners at $3.2 million. And that's a year.
Yeah.
That's every year he's making $3.2 million.
But look how much he's bringing in. I mean, that's a lot of money. But look, who else on that team would be selling jerseys?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not a lot.
Exactly. I think that they deserve it because the college is profoundly benefiting off of it, and making some great profits, and it should be turned right back around onto the player. But at the same time, if they're going to go say, you know what, I'm not going to play my 4 years, which it is smart because you're risking injury the longer you play.
Oh, yeah,
you're
for sure.
not going to get paid. But you go to the NFL, you're automatically receiving a paycheck. Send that money back down. You're going to make it up later. You know, like that. I think it should be contingent upon. But they didn't call me again and ask for an opinion.
And one of the arguments is, you know, the college players are considered amateur athletes at that point. You know, they're not in the NFL. They're not pro athletes. And the argument is that this is kind of taking away that amateurism. Is that a word? I don't know. I'm going to use it. It sounds good, so I'm going to use it. But because I read an article that I think it's C.J. Stroud.
So
it's either C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young got handed the keys to a Bentley.
Yeah, I would see that.
To drive for 4 years. You don't have to pay for it until you graduate.
Yeah.
Or go to the NFL.
Well, I mean,
So at that point,
that's been
are
going
you
on for years? It's just
Yeah. I mean, it's been under the table now,
Right.
but now
It's
it's
been
out in the
hidden.
forefront.
Yeah.
So and at that point, if you're making $3.2 million a year, even though you can't touch it yet, and you're given the keys to a Bentley, at that point, are you still an amateur athlete? Are you considered a pro athlete? And that's where the
semi-pro
Yeah.
level. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, semi-pro.
and that's where
That's
the
what I'm
line's at. That's where they're trying to figure out. Okay, and that's where, like you said,
Well,
that's where the
it is
stipulations need to
semi-pro.
come in. Some kind of rule needs to be put into place because at that point you're turning.
It's free agency is what it is.
Yeah.
And they
Oh,
can
yeah.
say
100%.
who's going to give me the most money. And, who's going to break the bank for me.
Because isn't there a Texas player that was given a Lamborghini or signed an NIL deal with Lamborghini?
Dijon Mustard.
Yeah, he's the 5th ranked player on this list.
Lamborghini.
He's at 1.7.
Mustard, he's got all kinds of stuff.
Now this is only football, college football. There's female athletes. There's a gymnast from LSU who fixing to sign one, and she's going to be at $8 million a year.
That's crazy.
Could you imagine making $8 million a year in college?
She better because she ain't going to actors.
That's true.
But it's just
what it is, man. I mean,
That's
then they
exactly
gripe
right.
about,
That's true.
why don't women make as much in men's sports?
yeah.
Because ain't nobody go watch it.
It's exactly right.
It's all business decision, which is why you don't sell A&M jerseys in tech.
Branding. It's all about branding.
Still sell them in tech. There's a bunch of people in tech. That's why, like,
Branding.
whenever
There's
you
a
come
bunch
to
of fans that want to watch
the
girls
Cotton
softball,
Bowl,
but they ain't
and you
gonna
see
pay
just
for
as
it.
many Oklahoma jerseys as Texas. Okay, I'm sorry. I got to talk common sense again.
It's branding.
But then, like, there's this just came out on an NIL topic. People are talking about the ramifications, like with the Bentley and stuff like that. There's he hasn't been named. They think they know who it is because the contract hasn't been signed yet. But there is a prospect in the class of 2023. Well, he signed his contract. He just hadn't picked what school he's going to go to. That could pay him almost $11.5 to $13 million a year.
Mm.
And that's by his junior year of college.
I hope
So
that-
you're looking at $30 million by the time you're a junior.
I
Now
hope
they're-
that they have assigned financial advisors for these people because it should be required if you're especially a big time collegiate athlete, but like all these football guys that are real big, especially, and they're going to go pro. They
Yeah.
need to have some kind of financial advisor because
for sure.
whenever you're in the first couple of years of your NFL and you're blowing all your money, look at all these guys that are broke and they played a few years in the NFL. Like, man, I wish that they were assigned somebody to help them because it's like an inevitable doom that's going to hit them. It makes me like sick
Well, I mean,
to the stomach.
The
Now-
football players do. The Cowboys have a financial class.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. A lot of NFL teams now,
I think that's
for
great.
rookies coming in, they have those
But
financial
I think
classes.
that should be required at
Oh, it should.
Yes,
Absolutely
in
should.
college.
Absolutely should.
Has
Because,
to be now.
I mean, you got a 20-something-year-old kid, by the time he's a junior in college, is going to have $30 to $40 million in a bank account.
And what has that kid done, especially through high school, and they're doing the same thing in college? What has that kid been done? Pushed through.
Yep.
They aren't caring what's going on in classes or anything. They've been pushed through because they are bringing in so much attention for the school, money, all that kind of stuff, especially further they go and bring in more money that way. But that's all they've done. They're not going to be good with knowing how to budget, even if it's millions and millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Man.
I wouldn't know how to budget millions and millions of
I
dollars.
would. It's already gone, though.
So I got curious while looking over all this NIL stuff about this.
Pay yourself $70,000 with the rest of the bank,
There you go.
and then live off the interest.
See, that's what I would love for them to
True.
say. Look, what is a job that you would you go do?
What's your
and work
major?
if you didn't have this potential NFL career?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to be whatever. Let's just say you make $100,000 a year. That's all you need. Put everything else in the bank. You only get $100,000 a year.
And then put it to where they can't touch it.
Yeah, a trust.
When doing the research on this NIL, I got curious about who this so-called unnamed recruit they're talking about is going to have this big multi-million-dollar deal. The only name that I could find that it's been linked to is an incoming quarterback that's believed to more than likely sign with Tennessee. And
They've been dropping bags for a long time.
yeah. And his name is Nico. I don't know how to say his last name.
Olivea.
Yeah, that
He's
guy.
committed to Tennessee as a quarterback.
Yeah. So they're speculating that it's him, but
Really?
but nothing has been specifically
Yeah, I don't know.
linked to him as of yet. But the two it was him, and then the other one I saw was Arch Manning. So I don't know who it's going to be linked to.
Arch Manning's getting like $4 million.
He's got a name to go with it.
Oh yeah, he's got that thoroughbred name. I was kind of mad when it all happened because they took away college football, and that was mine and Brett's kind of thing. We always had that A&M Texas game on NCAA like
Oh, yeah.
every weekend.
What's coming back? They're making it
Yeah,
again.
but it's not gonna be the same. I don't think.
See, I don't know.
All the big college schools haven't signed off on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then the next thing we have is just a little graphic I found. These are the top performing colleges in the NIL deal averages. Look who's at the top.
Yeah.
Are we surprised by their number one class last year?
You got Texas A&M.
Broke the bank, man.
The only thing I don't know, and I should have looked into this a little bit further.
Good. That's not a bad thing.
I should have looked into this a little bit further. I don't know if that's $85,000 per player or per deal. Don't know how they got that average. But the number one school is Texas A&M.
Wouldn't that be the same per player and per deal?
Not really.
Who would the other deal go to?
No, I'm talking about like you may have a player that gets a deal. You may have a player that doesn't get a deal. So it's kind of hard to figure. I don't know. I didn't.
Player.
85,000 per contract.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's per contract.
Yeah.
It's not per player.
All right.
So-
it's not per
just
player.
It's not every
understand.
person gets a NIL deal.
Yeah, I just thought it was a neat graphic. Mainly,
In my
just
head, I
mainly.
wasn't thinking about the kids that didn't get the deal. So I was
they
like,
weren't good enough. Like
I'm
the kicker,
confused.
It's like,
third string kicker. You
okay,
know?
it's like if you played for A&M, you wouldn't get a deal, but somebody else would.
Shoot, have you seen me? I'll show you again on that game. It's called NCAA 2014.
But it's A&M number one, Michigan 2, Oakland 3, Georgia.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Man, they need to start putting that towards joining the SEC. That's what
Yeah,
they
but
need to do.
that
But
makes
you-
sense because where's most of their players from?
Texas.
Texas. So you've got to get them in there.
They've been
Who's
doing that
not in the
past
top
10
10.
years, man.
I think Texas is in the top 25 on this list, but the graphic only went to 10, and I didn't feel like making another graphic to include 25 teams. So, but yeah,
we
so
just signed a new collective today, which they said is big for the NIL stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It doesn't. I mean, it's all crazy nowadays. So
But why do you get good players? Because you want them to win. You want to be successful. Speaking of successfulness,
yeah,
let's talk about the Heisman.
Heisman has been shaken up all up and down the list. Hendon Hooker was Tennessee quarterback. He was number one for a while until they got beat by Georgia, and
He got humbled.
yeah, he got humbled. The one consistent's been C.J. Stroud. He's been 1, 2, 3 all year long, and mainly at number one. So
And he's not going to go too far because, just like Craig said, there's only a couple teams in that
yep.
in that conference. So
We'll see how they-
he can't showcase his talents for reals.
TCU's got one in there at number 9, Max Duggan, their quarterback.
watch out for the North Carolina kid. Though.
Yeah, that's one that hasn't been talked about a whole lot. He's come on the scene as of late. Of course, Mac Brown leading that team. I've watched him the last couple of games. He's been outstanding. I feel like Stetson Bennett needs to be a little bit higher than what he is, though, at number 4. I feel like it should be C.J. Stroud, Hooker, and then Bennett, but I don't make the list. So I was surprised to see Bo Nixon on there.
Playing good. Playing good ball right now.
Jaden Daniels. There's a lot of quarterbacks.
Well, that's usually all it
Yeah.
ever is.
I'd like to see a defensive guy get a Heisman every once in a while.
I mean,
They
did
do
not
every
too long
50
ago.
years.
It
Last
was,
year,
it was
the
that guy that,
Darren
that
Woodson.
had his catfish girlfriend. Remember
Oh,
that?
yeah.
That she pretended, or there was a dude pretending to be a girl.
I remember that. That was
what
poor
his name?
guy.
Manti Te'o.
Yeah.
I tell you,
Teo. I said
So,
Teo.
that's why, like, that's a good potential why he didn't win because those stories are already coming out before
Yeah.
that Heisman.
Yeah.
Man,
See, the only
story.
the only two on the list that aren't quarterbacks is you got Blake Corum, the running back from Michigan, Jalen Hyatt, the wide receiver from Tennessee. I mean, it is kind of cool to see a quarterback and a receiver from the same school on the list. So,
You always want your teammate on there.
so if you had to pick out of the top 5 today, who would your Heisman?
Wagman.
I'd
Quentin.
probably pick Stroud for right now.
Yeah.
Until if he has a good game against Michigan, he's probably going to win.
I'm gonna
That's going to be a
If he
big
has a
determining
good game
factor.
against Michigan,
That's going to be a determining
that's my
factor.
pick.
What do you think, Craig?
There's
What?
too much bias in that. There's really bias in that because
Oh
it's
yeah,
True.
all over. It's Oklahoma bias. It's
I
Michigan
agree.
bias. It's garbage because the players that want to get a vote, and so then you get it's like whatever.
I agree.
NFL. We're going to just kind of do something a little bit different on the NFL.
Cowboys won the Super Bowl. That's all we need to talk about.
Mhm.
We're not going to go as in depth on NFL
Because the
because
Cowboys play the Packers are going to smash them this Sunday.
not.
Who cares about the rest of it?
Yes, sir.
I don't know what to do with those guys anymore.
You could probably just stop being a fan.
That's hard.
That
Get
would
another
be-
coach
No,
and maybe
it's-
a quarterback that's not
good.
50 years old.
It's not the coach. It's the
Coach is
quarterback.
good. LaFleur's
It's the
good.
it's the quarter.
It's
It's
not the
Aaron
coach.
Rodgers. It is
No, it's the
Aaron
coach.
Rodgers.
It's the coach.
No.
No, I've learned. It's the coach.
The only
It is a
thing.
coach. It is a coach, sir.
So, just the only couple things I want to say about
It's
the
both,
Packers, and then we can go on. Is I had high hopes that they were going to pick somebody up in a trade before the trade deadline, and it came out that they actually went after Chase Claypool from
Who's
the
that?
Steelers. He's a
Okay.
wide receiver from the Steelers,
Okay.
and then also the Bears went after him. Get this.
Odell Beckham's out there.
I don't want Odell Beckham.
Cowboys are looking at him.
Yeah.
It is.
Bears and the Packers offered a second-round draft pick. One difference is all it was. And I was like, okay, we're hopeful. We got this out there. 30 minutes later, it comes out Chase Claypool has been traded to the Bears.
I don't blame you.
The organization for the Steelers comes out is like, well, we favored a higher pick, and I'm like, you're one.
Still.
Then they went after DJ Moore from the Carolina Panthers.
Good because they believe the Bears are going to stink more than y'all do. I mean, really.
I don't think they are. Like Chase Claypool he's a game changer for any team.
No. They selected the Bears because the Bears are going to have a better draft pick than the Packers are. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's what they're saying. So, hey, there you go.
Yeah. So then they went after DJ Moore, offered a first-round draft pick and a second-round draft pick. And I'm like, yes, Carolina was not having it. I don't know what they're hanging on DJ Moore for. I guess they're going to see.
They ain't got nobody else.
Yeah.
True.
And so then I was like, at that point I lost all hope because, again, Packers have that A&M.
At that point?
Yeah.
That was the point.
That was the point.
Okay, I was just
when they
making
lost
sure.
to the Jets.
Because they have that A&M syndrome where if you shut down the receivers, you got a running back. Well, then you got two capable running backs for the Packers, but you shut them down and you got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Packers have always been a team that's going to build a team on the draft, and that's what we're looking at again. And
it's a rebuilding year.
It's something.
College Station.
And last year.
And then they're going to really have to rebuild because Cowboys are going to wreck house.
I'll be honest, I'm not even going to watch that game.
I
haven't.
Oh, come
I
on.
definitely
I have
It's
not.
a watch party.
I have not watched.
Snowing up there. It's going to be awesome.
I have not watched the last. Is it in Lambeau?
Yeah, it's at Packers.
What time
No, I
did
thought
they
it was in
play?
Dallas.
What time do they? I think it's in Dallas.
Yeah, it's in Dallas.
I'm okay.
I'm pretty sure it's in Dallas.
Double check.
But anyway, while we're looking that up to verify, I have not watched the last two Packer games because
I don't blame you.
it's infuriating to watch because they
Cowboys at Packers yet again. It
And
gets
then-
tiring from the top. You know what I mean? Like when you're all
hate
by
being right all the time.
yourself, like, no.
But it was like the last game. Aaron Rodgers threw 3 interceptions in the first half. 3.
Yeah, it makes sense.
He threw 4 the entire
Bro,
season last year.
His arm, like he doesn't have the same quick arm because he has to let go of the walker, then gather himself, balance back on the walker, and then throw the ball. That's tough, man.
Yeah, so I don't know. Well,
Well,
He
it'll be
doesn't-
the
he doesn't
Cowboys
trust
at the
anybody.
Packers.
if we finish the year above 500, I'll be surprised.
I will too because you're already below it.
Yeah,
That's true. Exactly.
that's what I'm saying. If we finish above 500,
But hey, let me give you some hope, okay?
I don't want any of your hope. Your false hope.
Okay, correct. We have some Lone Star pride in the Houston Astros. Okay, at least the Astros
yeah.
went. They won the World Series. I
Yes.
love. We got another.
I didn't
Texas
watch
team.
one game, but I watched the highlights on ESPN
I
every
watched
night.
them.
Way
I
to go, Astros.
I was on a call and I got into the ER and they had a TV playing and I watched the very last catch to end the game. It was great.
I'm
Yeah.
happy for Dusty Baker too.
Man, that
Solid
I
guy.
like that guy.
Man, they were celebrating with that guy. They were,
Yeah, they were. That was fun to watch
was
that.
too cool, man. I like that. Okay, so just around us for the local stuff, our Bulldogs are going tonight. It's
To
going to be
How do you say that?
Decab.
Decab.
DeKalb.
The Colb.
So they're
Eyeball?
about D-ball.
Decab. It's my D-ball. Exactly.
DeKalb. They're about
Decab.
D-ball.
Decab.
They from what I looked up when I was looking at this, they're pretty even with Edgewood. They're
It's gonna
gonna
be a
Yeah,
good
they're
game.
8-2.
but that's gonna be a good game.
It's gonna
We'll
be a good
see.
game.
I don't know. I mean, the one if we win, they got to play Dangerfield. Looks like.
Ooh,
Ooh.
Yeah.
that's gonna be a
The
tough game.
Randy,
Yeehaw, let's go with Randy.
Hey, it's gonna be tough from here
Brother
on
Randy
out.
from
It ain't gonna be
Dangerfield?
easy.
He was a kicker for Dangerfield and went to Commerce and
He had a
I didn't know
NCAA
that.
record for a long time.
Oh
Longest
wow,
kick.
for his
Nice.
like 62 yards. I
He played
think.
against Charlie Strong. Yeah.
our brother Randy.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a celebrity here.
Man,
We're gonna have to get him on the show one
He can
time.
kick.
We
Talk some
are.
football.
Heck
But,
yeah.
you know.
I'd like that.
Oh, better news right here. The peppermint shakes come back to Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
Biased.
Oh,
Hey,
So
the
then-
girls volleyball is doing good. They're
are they still
They
playing?
lost.
they
They lost
lost.
Oh, they
yesterday.
did lost. Oh
But
man,
Yeah.
Gunner
Well,
always.
Reigns- volleyball's still going.
Nobody cares about
And
Reigns
they-
in this room.
Hush your mouth. I'm
But
a Reigns teacher. And they're playing
Edgewood,
tonight.
Edgewood ran to Gunner again, the number 1 team.
Gunner.
The buzzsaw.
Oh, of course.
In
Yeah.
every sport,
Yeah, we
dude.
don't-
Gunner is just so good.
Man, I was thinking they were playing tonight.
Gunner and go kick rocks.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, and so for Little
Stump
League,
their toe.
for Little League football, my son's team got eliminated, but the K through 2 is playing the Super Bowl this weekend. So
Yeah.
first time ever.
And so is Emory. Brody's playing.
Oh, is he?
Yep.
Who are they playing?
They're playing in Athens. I don't know who they're playing, but they're in Athens. So.
I think Edgewood's playing Crandall.
Go Brody.
Crandall's always good.
Or maybe
all
they're
those
just-
teams are so much bigger and they have so much more depth. It's tough. Ever
Yeah.
since whenever Trey played with Nick Bolton, we didn't have one here. It was in Wills Point. we made it to the Super Bowl several years in a row. And, man, you just get up there, and it's just the depth is just.
Well, see, that's the thing is with the youth sports, they now have this 5-quarter thing that they put in place. So we play 5 quarters. We don't play 4. We play 5.
Then it's not quarters.
But that's
exactly. But
that's what
that rule.
It's 5/20ths.
It's everybody. But I mean, they do have developmental quarters. I think
That's
it's like
what I'm
one.
talking
They
about.
got one developmental quarter.
That's why it's 5 quarters.
But no, the reason the rule is put into place is because there are some schools that require every student to get to play at least 2 minutes.
This is not YMCA.
But that's what the developmental quarter is supposed to be.
Yeah, but
because you play your developmental team, like if it was, your Bulldog team, your purple's number 1, white's number 2. Your number 2, everybody number 2 that doesn't play, they go in on
Don't say that to them.
No, that's what it is. They're
No,
the
don't
number
say
2.
that. Don't say
They're the
that.
number 2.
Everybody number 2.
Yeah, that's right.
No.
That's what it is. And then they go in, they get all of their time. You don't have to worry about it. And then you come back and you play your last quarter.
But then you got teams like
Doesn't
Crandall,
even
Roy
count.
City that's got like 60 kids, and then you got like
And they all weigh
Hudson's team, my
150
son's team,
pounds.
yes, and you got my son's team who's got 22, and the heaviest kid's 80 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, and so they're having to play all 5 quarters, and by halftime they're gassed.
Yeah, but that should be on those teams, not on our team. So it should be 4 quarters, and the third quarter can always be the developmental, or last quarter.
Yeah,
and then the end of the game will be after the third, and then the fourth will be all developmental, and then you can just choose not to play it.
Well, here's the funny part. Okay, so when that rule went up for a vote, the 3 smallest schools in our
all said no.
Our little league said no
because there's not enough people.
Yeah,
Right,
that's the
exactly.
problem.
There's no doubt.
Crandall and Roy City, when the signups open up, their roster is full by 8:00 that night, and then they have 20 kids on standby.
So why don't they have?
Do you know how
more
long
teams?
it took us to fill our roster?
It should be more teams, and it should be a cap on the team. On the
exactly.
player
It
limit.
took us 3 months to get 24 players.
Yeah, I understand. Y'all.
You're begging people and paying them to play and everything else.
Yeah, pretty much. So,
Got NIL and the
But-
5-year-old NIL people.
but
Please play. We'll pay you money.
But I was texting Hudson's head coach, and we were talking last night about, even though the season's over, and those kids you're coaching them, they give you headaches. I already miss it because it's fun being out there with those boys, getting to relive the old glory days. But
To see the growth of the kid, man. That's
yeah, it
what's-
was
it's
from the
so
time that we started till the time the end season ended, completely different team. So it was exciting to see that.
That's like A&M. They have a completely different team.
They have a completely different team every quarter. So
We need a lot of prayer. And speaking of prayer, I think you have some.
I do. I have a couple audio clips, actually, and we're going to discuss them. The very first one I pulled basically a misrepresentation of, I don't want to call them Bible characters because they're not actually characters. They were real people, Christ followers in the Bible. And I will apologize in advance. I pulled these clips from Ben Shapiro. I tried to cut out as much as him as possible. There are a few things that he says that they're not bad, but I didn't get to cut them out. So
Jewish. He's got a different.
Bible stories for Pride Month.
Oh, God.
I'll be telling you a bunch of little snippets of different characters who were non-gender conforming in the Bible.
Good Lord.
Problem
First off,
number
we
1 right
have
there.
Jacob. God renamed Jacob as Israel, and all of his descendants became the nation of Israel. Kind of an important dude. But he didn't always act so doodly. Whereas Jacob's brother Esau was super hairy and liked to hunt and be outside and be a manly man, Jacob was super smooth and liked to hang out with his mom at home and help cook and clean in the tent.
okay, so the very first.
It's heresy.
Yeah. So the very first one she talks about was Jacob and Esau. She did revert to scripture, took it completely out of context. The one she referred to was Genesis chapter 25, verses 24 through 27, basically talking about when Jacob was born, he was born as hairy as a cloak. Or no, Esau was hairy as a cloak, and then Jacob was holding on to his heel. Esau grew up to be a skilled hunter and a man of the field. Jacob was a quiet man dwelling in the tents. And correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I studied on this, when they refer to being a man of the tents, it was basically you like to study, yes or no, Craig, on that? If they considered you a man of the tents, you were studying, and
Man of the cloth.
so I just
And a man of the cloth means you're just a preacher.
Means it's a shawl that they wore. Man of the cloth.
Yeah.
so there's that one. So basically, if you don't have a lot of body hair and you like to read books, you are not a man.
Yeah.
That's
Oh man.
I'd like to know the name of that.
No, I don't like reading. Just the Bible.
Come after me. I'm a
All right, so we're going to move on to the next one. I believe the next one she's going to talk about is Joseph. I say she. I guess he's a she. I don't know.
I think it's Joseph with a son.
Character is Joseph. Joseph is Jacob's son. Jacob gave Joseph a beautiful rainbow tunic. The Hebrew word in the Bible to say the tunic is the same word that describes the garb that virgin daughters of the king would wear. Joseph was the first drag queen.
So there you go. What are your thoughts on that? That Joseph was the first drag queen.
This lady would have been burned at the stake several years ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
a tunic is a robe, dude. It's not a whatever she's saying. Everybody wore a tunic. Has she not seen Greco-Roman movies?
Yeah.
She doesn't
That's-
go into context whatsoever.
No, not
So it's
not even a little bit.
Here's the
cultural
problem. Okay,
context.
again, we're gonna get back to the original origin of this issue, which is not just with this, but every issue in our society right now, is facts don't matter.
Yep.
Truth
Absolutely.
is built on facts, not on what we think or not on what we feel or not on what we want it to be represented as. You have to go back and actually look at the facts.
Absolutely.
And so that happens with scripture. It happens with life. It happens with everything. It happens with American history. I'm an American history aficionado. I love American history. And people don't want to know, okay, slavery. Slavery was not invented in America. Slavery's been around since the beginning of time. The
Yeah.
Jewish people were
Correct.
slaves.
Exactly.
And so, I mean, for people to go, well, no, slavery is a stain on society. It's a stain on American society. We should not have desired to own people, but at the same time, it was part of the economic system, and they want to get on the Southerners. Okay, oh, here I go. I'm getting on my soapbox.
Here we go.
Climb up a little bit.
Go.
Everybody, hold on.
There we
Because
go.
the northern people had factories. They had tenement workers in the factories. They were treated worse than a lot of slaves in the,
Yep.
in the South. I'm not condoning slavery. Don't get me wrong. People should not be owned, okay? But people should also be treated like people. And that's the issue. And so what I'm saying is that people need to take the history and context. And here's
Yep.
the one thing as well, not only about truth being facts, but we cannot judge the history by our current socioeconomic, psychological, whatever we want to judge it by today. The time in the past had to be judged by that time and by that past. The Bible never condones slavery.
Yep.
The Bible never agrees with slavery. What it says is if you are a slave, make sure that you are doing your best for the master.
Yep,
we know that
absolutely.
Sundays, the end of Timothy chapter 6. And make sure that we are representing our God no matter where we are or what we do. And so it just makes me want to pull my hair out, what little I have left. Because people don't want to understand that facts
too.
matter. The
Yeah.
truth matters.
Yeah, for sure.
Not subjective truth, my truth, your truth, but the truth.
Correct.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
There is no subjective truth.
Thank you.
Not
There
anymore.
are subjective opinions. There's no subjective truth.
Exactly.
So I think the next one she goes over
And a rainbow.
is...
Sorry, hold on a second. More thing.
Go ahead.
It wasn't a rainbow jacket.
No, it was a coat of many colors.
What did they do? They took the threads that were dyed and wove them together.
Yep.
So I mean,
But
Come
regardless,
on. Don't
even
make
if
it
it
what you
was a
want to
rainbow
say.
jacket, even if it was,
yeah,
what was the rainbow
the sign of
representing?
God's promise.
Yeah.
A promise.
So they've taken
God.
a sign of God and a promise and perverted
What
it
does
to...
Satan always do?
to fit.
Exactly.
Like
Satan takes
anything
a grain of
else.
the truth and perverts it into what he wants.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, even the rainbows now that they wave around on their flag, it's not even right. It's Roy G. Biv. And they ain't even got it. There's 6 colors on their flag. They screwed it up, morons.
All right. So the next one she goes into... I didn't really know there was a Deborah in the Bible, but apparently there is.
There is.
And she's going to be referencing Judges chapter 4 and 5. See what her take on it is.
Is Deborah. Before Israel had kings, they had judges. The only judge that was a woman was Deborah. She was also the leader of the military and kicked the Canaanites' ass in a setting where women were treated like property and their value was based on how many kids they had.
I'm kind of confused by what she was trying to say.
I don't. Deborah was
She
not.
was the first feminist.
I guess so. I don't know. I was confused on what she was trying to say.
I think what she's getting at is that there was a woman in power. And a lot of people that don't understand the Bible do not realize how much power that God and was trying to get, like, says that the women have.
Yeah.
I don't understand. They say that women are just as much as slaves as, in the 50s for black people. And it's because they don't understand what the Bible's saying. The Bible gave them freedom. That's what it's talking about. It doesn't, I don't understand that, how you get so far out of context. I've got somebody I talked to about this too, and she just talks about how the Bible and God, all it is about mistreating women and owning women.
Yep.
I'm like, no, it's not that at all. Are you kidding me? Who was the first person or people that God or Jesus talked to after he was resurrected?
2 women.
Two women.
Mary and Martha.
You know,
it just doesn't make sense.
And I was talking about this with my wife when I showed her these clips, and you know, a lot of the times from when they're trying to make points like this, they point to the Old Testament. There's not a lot of New Testament. Well, I'll say that in the next one. She's going to reference the New Testament, but what she's referencing doesn't make sense. But they always point back to the Old Testament and the Old Law.
Were women treated like cattle? Sure.
Yeah.
Was it right?
No.
No. Under the Lord, there's neither bond nor free, nor male nor female.
Exactly.
Come on, people. Hello.
So the very last one she's going to reference is going to be the eunuchs, and she has a very interesting take on these.
We got all of our eunuchs. What is a eunuch? Most people think it means a man who's been castrated. It can also just mean an effeminate man who's not interested in women. Jesus said that there's 3 kinds of eunuchs. Eunuchs by birth, eunuchs who were made so by others, and eunuchs who chose to be eunuchs. You know what Jesus said about them? Love and accept them all. Gender is a construct and it's all affirmed in the good book itself.
So there you go.
Lost word. Like, it just
Yeah, I mean, hello.
Yeah,
What-
it's
and the thing
We
is,
know
it's
what
not
a
just
eunuch
for
is.
things, it's everywhere.
A eunuch is what it is.
Yeah.
A eunuch is someone that has been castrated. They
Yep.
were a servant of the king in this house with this because they had to work in the harem.
Yep.
And they cut off their yes. And so because of that, they chose to be there. How hard is it?
I guess the good thing that came out of all this is I pulled out my Bible to go back and read, you know, the context that was supposed to be there. Because if you watch the clip, she references Matthew 19:11. All that talks about is the actual verse says, "But he said to them, not everyone can receive this saying, but only those whom it is given." So I'm like, okay, what are you referencing there? So then I had to go back and read it, and it's basically in Matthew 19. It's where Jesus is talking to the disciples about divorce. You know, that the only reason you can divorce a woman is for sexual immorality, this kind of thing. And then it goes in to explain what the eunuchs are. I don't know how she's...
Because they're picking and choosing and looking
Yeah,
for
she's
ways to affirm their belief
Exactly.
instead of allowing the Lord to be his belief. Why was divorce given? Anybody got a clue?
It was Moses that did it, wasn't it,
Why was it
originally?
given? Divorce was given so that the woman could actually be provided for.
Yeah.
In that society, when the woman was in the house, she was provided for. When she was kicked out of the house, how is she going to get a job? How is she going to make a living? It's not like American society. They were put on the streets. God gave them a divorce so they could get remarried again, so they could be taken care of again. That's not what divorce is today. Divorce is something completely different today. You can't equate it with today's divorce. And so they don't understand that you have to go back in time, you have to go back in history to actually see how it worked and what it was about. It's nothing like it was today.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're having like too much common sense. Watch it. You need to ease up there, fella, that you're mansplaining.
All right. So if that first clip didn't get your blood boiling, the second one will,
That
because
was only the first clip?
that was only the first
I
clip.
thought there was like 4 there.
No, I
Word.
divided it up into 4 so we can kind of have a discussion about it.
2
All
clips
right.
divided into
Yeah. So the second clip is
Yeah.
basically
It's worse
misquoting.
than that one?
Yes,
Oh, my-
absolutely.
Okay.
So this one is somebody misquoting the Bible to prove their point that God is pro-choice.
Oh, I've heard this one, I think.
All right. This one really got to me.
Unpopular opinion.
Psalms.
God is pro-choice. Never in humanity has God stripped us of our ability to choose. We see this in Genesis chapter 2 when God places Adam in the midst of the garden and presents all of his best options to him, but does not remove the most destructive choice. In fact, God commands Adam not to eat of this forbidden tree and does not remove the ability for him to choose it. Why is this significant? Because God is more concerned with our desire to choose him than he is with the legislation of righteousness. So while God may be grieved at every single abortion, he is equally concerned about the heart posture of the one who has to choose.
Is that all of it?
That's all of
There's
it.
no 4 parts of this one?
No, that's it.
Because
So-
my mind's just going to explode.
Oh, I know, absolutely. My blood is just... So she's basically referencing Genesis 2, this whole clip.
So because we have a choice, we should always be pro-choice.
God
What's
is
she
yeah.
saying?
He gave us free
God
will.
is free about
It's
free
just
will.
that
Exactly.
simple. It's
That's
Doesn't
that's
mean our
that's-
choices aren't wrong though.
Yeah.
And sinful.
That's why he said, "Thou shalt not kill," which actually means murder in Exodus chapter 20. I mean,
make
come on,
sense.
that's as simple.
And here's like I said, I'm grateful that I watched and listened to these because it made me go back and pull the scripture that they were actually tearing apart and not representing as it should be. Like Quentin said, chapter 2, it talks about God gives people free will, which then he allows them to make horrible decisions and sinful decisions, but she fails to take apart or mention that later on in that chapter he talks about being fruitful and multiplying, or that he designed man and woman.
Which is the same verse that the Catholic Church believes you shouldn't use any kind of birth control.
Yeah. And my other question was,
Any kind
what
of
does it mean? What is a heart posture? Like what is that?
It's just
It's a popular-
whenever your heart's kind of slouching.
It decides to sit up straight.
It's a popular theological word that people are using nowadays.
Really?
I couldn't find anything on it. Like I was
You
like,
need to have the proper heart posture.
It's just the news. It's
Yeah,
just like
it's ridiculous.
It's
It's
woke.
trendy. It's trendy.
That's
you
the
know?
woke phrase, exactly.
So-
It is.
Is what it
the
is.
other question that I posed to myself and I couldn't really find an answer for. Well, I mean, I know the answer for it, but so basically, does it mean that if the person doing the abortion feels bad about it, then God's okay with it? Is basically what she's saying.
No, she's saying that everybody has a choice to be able to do it. That's what she's saying.
Kind of sounded like that too.
She's saying if
I'm just
God-
saying,
yeah.
if you choose that, then you choose that.
I mean, what you just said. So people need a test and see if they're convicted by God to go kill their baby, and if
Yeah.
they feel bad, okay, I feel
Don't do it.
I feel
Don't
better
do it.
because now I feel bad.
Yeah.
So now God loves me and I love Him.
Yeah.
What in the crazy?
That's-
I need to go do crack cocaine because after that,
I think
here's
here's what I think
happening?
she's saying. I think she's saying this: if you're okay with it, then it's okay.
Yeah.
If you're not okay with it, then it's not okay. Which is the typical
Yeah.
led by your feelings generation that we
That's
have right
right.
now. That's what
Yep.
she's saying. And so she's saying it's a heart posture. God gives us the ability to do the right thing, but we also ought to have the ability to do the wrong thing. And I'm going, wait a second. So it's okay to murder somebody that's alive?
Yeah, where's the line drawn?
Yeah.
Unreal, man.
I mean, I read Genesis 2 and then I read, like, it just kept going. I didn't stop. I read through Genesis 3 and I was like, I don't get anything of what you're saying other than God gave us free will to screw up because we all screw up all the time. But the difference with when I screw up and I know I screw up, I have a conscience and
Repentance.
God in my heart and it's like, yeah, I know. I need to talk to you about this, God. Let's get this straight. I screwed up. Let's fix it. So I can get up, dust myself off, and not do it again. This so far out there.
She was okay in abortion under the guise of modern pragmatism.
Yes. That was the word I was trying to
Is
find.
all that it is. And so the issue that we should be addressing is not a heart posture, because the heart is deceitful
Yes.
above all things, and everybody's going to have a bad heart posture
That's
if you want to talk about that until you're
Yeah.
saved, and then have a better heart posture.
Yeah.
I'm at a loss of words for, and again, the problem is these type of people have a platform and people listen.
Yep.
And people go, oh, that makes sense. That's what I want to believe, and that's what I want to hear.
Itching
Instead of hearing
ears.
God's truth, which is like what Quentin just laid out, because people want to hear what they want to hear. And you're just a hater because you don't believe that God has standards.
Absolutely. And that's what I think I was talking. I think I talked to you last week about it when I was pulling these clips. And then for those of you that don't know, I pulled the clips from the Ben Shapiro show. He is Jewish, but the neat thing about it is he actually went and was basically halted the whole show. This was live when it was going on. He halted the whole show so he could go get a Bible and go in and read basically the same thing I did. She's like, you're way off base on this. This world has
It's
gone.
not surprising. It's just disgusting to hear.
Yeah.
Correct.
It doesn't surprise me. You got Newsom putting verses on abortion signs to give
Yep.
them abortion.
That's where I thought you were going,
You got-
because he did that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's where I thought it was going.
It's
That's
so
where I was
crazy.
headed.
You've got all these people, Warnock or whatever, who's gonna run off with Walker.
Oh my gosh! And he's at the same church that Martin Luther King Jr. He's his pastor in the same church
Yep.
that Martin Luther
Wow.
King Jr. does. And I'm thinking Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't a saint, but I'm sure he's rolling over in his grave right now.
I know.
Oh, for sure.
Because of Margaret Sanger, and that was the attack. The abortion came in to limit the birth in black neighborhoods.
Exactly.
It was a population control for black people. And that's what is sickening, is that now these people are all for it. I'm going, wait a second. And I heard Stacey Abrams say about that it would help our inflation if people get abortions.
Yes.
I heard
What
that.
in
That
the
was
what?
nuts.
They were asking a
What?
question about inflation, and she responded about abortion.
That's crazy.
And
What
the right
in
to
the
abortion.
world?
Agenda.
Which also Biden said that he can't fix inflation or say that it's
Yeah.
going to go down.
We said, what are you going to do to change this past few years? He said, nothing. He literally said, nothing.
Yep.
I was gonna say he can't make it worse, but he can make it a lot worse.
Oh, it's gonna
Man,
get
he's
worse,
gonna make it
bro.
worse.
It's gonna
Oh
get
yeah,
worse.
it's gonna get way worse.
We'll for sure see after all these ballots actually get.
When will
Well,
gas?
I don't know if they're going to be counted
Yeah.
actually or what.
Well, they're
Like, it's-
counted. They're
but-
all
well,
the fake ones are counted.
Yeah, all
that's true.
the fake ones are there and you're
Correct.
counted for.
And then there's one guy. I think I sent y'all a little clip of the TikTok video.
Yes, I
of
watched
where
that.
He was tracking his mouse over the dumps overnight
Mm.
of votes.
And they were
They
exactly the
weren't-
same.
So it showed. I forgot what state it was, but
New
it was
York.
showing the
New York.
counties.
It was New York.
And it would be like this county, and this county, exactly the same numbers. This county, this county. So it would be like 75, 6,
Wow.
3, 7. And then 145, 119, 145, 119. Like these counties,
Wow.
exactly same numbers overnight dumping into the system.
And did you know that Pennsylvania actually voted for a dead guy and he won the election? He died 4 months ago and he won the
saw that,
election.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
And now
So what do you
now he's
do?
brain damaged.
So they voted Fetterman and a dead guy.
So what do you do with the dead guy?
I mean, you got two.
Fetterman's almost brain dead.
But how does
Yeah.
a dead guy win? That's how dead brain American society is.
I mean, you got a dead man in president too. So
No, it's a dead man walking.
well, there's that. But I mean,
it's
it-
sad.
and that's like we were watching all that election stuff unfold. We pretty much don't watch
Yeah, we don't need.
mainstream media anymore. But I was watching Ben Shapiro and all his guys. They were live streaming, and they were watching Maricopa County in Arizona.
Bad
In an
news.
hour and a half, those numbers never changed.
No.
And they were like, "Oh, well, the machine stopped
They can't
working
count 'em.
at 6:00." And they were like, "Well, the polls didn't close till 8."
Yeah.
So
Can't count them.
basically, you shut
They
the
got-
poll down
They've got
because the
2
machine
more
stopped working at
weeks.
6.
They've got 2 more weeks to collect more votes from the nursing homes.
Oh yeah, in the graveyard.
Yeah.
So
It's sad. That's
Not
why we
that
got,
nursing home people shouldn't vote. Okay, don't
No,
get me wrong.
you need to
But
vote.
you have to be in your right mind in order to vote.
Yeah, but I think it should be a time a way. We went from a day to a week to a month to now
Yeah.
a couple of people have 2 months.
When Iraq
This is
When Iraq
ridiculous.
can go vote, we were liberated Iraq. Remember that? And they
Yeah.
had to dip their finger in a purple stain to show that they voted.
Yeah.
When they can go in person to vote and we can't, there's a problem.
well, that's like I was
Right.
talking to a buddy of mine, and Craig, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus because you're the older one in the room, but
It's fine.
there was back in the day where you were penciling in and they were having to hand count, and they would get those done
Oh, yeah.
inside 3 or 4 days.
Oh,
But now you have computers that can't get it done in 24 hours.
It's
Well,
not
they
that.
can
It's
get-
not
they
that.
Well, they
can
can
get
get
done.
done, but they're
People are
choosing not to.
manipulating.
You know why?
Yeah.
I'm telling you why.
Oh,
They're
it's-
filling in other ballots,
They,
rigging the elections.
so that
bro.
the
I'm telling you.
Governor Lake, the
Carrie Lake.
Yes.
I liked her.
She went from different polling sites, and she went to a couple of Republican sites, and they had a machine. They said over 25% was having their ballots changed.
Mhm.
They were
Wow.
shutting down, not working. Then she went to the Democratic voting sites,
Everything's fine.
and all of their machines were
Of
voting
course.
just fine. I mean, and it's not just there.
Papa
It's
Joe
all-
was
it's
taking
in
care of them.
Texas. I mean,
it's
they've
here.
arrested
It's here.
DeSantis that day. He charged and arrested 20 different
Yep.
people for voter fraud.
Wow.
But that's a guy that's going to back up the integrity of an election.
Yeah,
It's not gonna happen.
And there was one in Texas last time that got picked up, but
Yeah.
it's
There
still,
were several. The
there-
lady down in San Antonio, she got picked up fast.
Yeah,
but
she
the
did.
same thing for
There was
going to
several-
nursing homes and having them
several.
fill them out.
I told my wife if the wheels
It's
fall
not
off in
bingo.
Texas, we're moving to Florida.
It's not bingo, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's what they hand them ballots instead of bingo cards. They're like, here, just fill these out. We call the name, bubble it in.
Then they'll be like, "You mean Beto?" Exactly.
Speaking of him, have you seen the meme going around where it has him? No, not that one. It has him standing in the middle of the road, and then they took his last name and added REAUX, and at the top it says "Hello, Louisiana,"
Yeah. Oh yeah, running for Louisiana now.
That's funny.
because he's a 3-time loser, 4-time loser in Texas.
At least 3. I thought.
You know, he spent $200 million on his
Yes.
campaign.
Yes,
Just a
lot of money.
waste.
and there was a county in South Texas that went Republican for the first time in since 1886.
Wow.
So don't
Yep.
say that we can't. America can't take care of their poor
Yep.
or their vets
Exactly.
because people pour all this garbage
It's
into these
crazy.
political elections that are
$200 million.
bogus.
Yeah.
Tons.
but still vote.
It's immoral.
Yes, still vote.
So
Well, hey, it's still going to go on. That's why you got to still stay plugged in. And
Yep.
whenever you're in an argument, it's a lot easier whenever you know what you're talking about. And it's not that hard to crack open that book and read stuff in context.
In the Bible.
Yeah.
The Bible.
Amen.
is that book.
Yes,
Yes.
the book. That's
Correct.
the book, the
truth.
Bible. That's it.
Gotta
That's
give
it.
us more things to talk about next time because
Yes,
there'll be
sir.
some more things come up.
Oh, I was going to talk about like Revelation stuff. But
Told you I had some
we'll
good
save that
stuff
for next
today.
time. There's a lot of stuff going on.
oh yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on.
Anyways, hey, thank y'all so much for listening. We appreciate it. If
Like
you made
and
it this far,
subscribe.
oh my goodness, we love you so much. We'll give you some cookies, all three of you. Okay. Hey, yeah, like and describe to subscribe.
Don't describe.
Go over there. Hey, make sure you look at the coffee with Phil and Jim up there in Oklahoma. And anyways,
Why'd
we'll
you
catch
have
you
a
next
Boston
time.
accent doing that?
They're up north. They're
Peace.
Yankee, bro. All right. Hey, we'll see you next time.
Hey, thanks again for listening to the podcast on the Church Guys, and we're glad that you've tuned in. We look forward to next time when we come back after the Thanksgiving break to talk again about some more current events, some more sports, and obviously going to throw in some Bible stuff. And I just want to wish you guys a happy Thanksgiving. Realize that we have God to give our thanks to, and thankful for our country for what God's brought us here with and for and through. Again, have a great time with your family and friends, and we'll see you next time on the Church Guys podcast.